Welcome to this week's episode of Let's Chat, where we explore the latest in marketing trends and tactics. Today, we're unpacking key insights from Iterable's Activate tour in London, translating them into actionable strategies for global marketers. Let's get into it.
Activate Tour really surfaced some key tensions marketers are dealing with globally.
Definitely. And the first big one, it seems, is personalization. We all know it's important, but it sounds like consumers want it done right.
Exactly. They want it, but they're wary. There's this fine line. The research mentioned, surveying 23,000 global consumers. It showed 80% are okay with personalization in principle. But here's the catch. A full 2/3 have run into personalization that felt inaccurate or worse, intrusive. And that makes them just switch off, disengage.
Wow, 2/3. That's a huge number. So getting it wrong is actually damaging.
It really is. It has to be precise, and it absolutely has to feel valuable to the consumer, not just personalized for the sake of it.
So how do brands walk that line, especially when you've got different cultural expectations globally?
Well, Butternut Box had a really interesting approach. They talked about a personalization spectrum. Basically, they use a matrix.
A matrix, how did that work?
They plotted ideas based on whether they were just performative, looked personalized but didn't add much value, versus genuinely driving engagement and being useful.
Performative versus utility. I like that. It forces you to be honest about the why.
Precisely. And for them, being a pet food company, they used specific pet data, not just the name, but breed, age, even things like if the pet's a fussy eater.
Ah, okay. So it feels like the brand actually knows my pet.
Exactly. That's the utility part. But crucially, they also found the tone needed local tailoring. What sounds friendly in the UK might not land the same way elsewhere. So local teams adapted the nuance.
Right, more than just translation.
Absolutely. So for listeners, the tips are: 1, try building your own personalization matrix. Evaluate ideas for real impact. 2, focus on utility. Use your data to be genuinely helpful. And 3, bring in those regional teams early. Get their input on culture, tone, relevance. It builds trust.
That trust piece leads straight into the next big topic, AI.
Definitely. AI is transforming marketing, streamlining things, enabling personalization at scale, helping ROI. But there are big anxieties, especially around data privacy.
And there's data on that concern.
Yeah, the Deloitte stat you flagged is pretty stark. In Europe, 62% of generative AI users worry about their personal data being misused, and only 51%, barely half, trust businesses to use AI responsibly.
Only half. That's a major trust deficit businesses need to overcome.
It really is. And you see brands taking different paths. Secret Escapes, for example, uses AI to match travel deals to people showing high intent. They see the ROI.
But carefully, I assume.
Exactly. They emphasize data protection and strong human oversight. AI speeds things up, but humans are still driving strategy.
Okay, AI is a co-pilot, not the pilot.
Kind of. And then you contrast that with BBC Studios. They're much more cautious, especially with creative stuff. They're actually avoiding AI for initial brainstorming.
Really? Why is that?
They're worried it could dilute originality, that unique human spark. Their view is AI should accelerate work, not replace the core creative insight.
That's a fascinating tension. So what are the practical takeaways for marketers navigating this?
Okay, so first, set clear AI guardrails. Decide what AI enhances versus what needs purely human leadership. Second, protect your IP. Be super careful with proprietary data in public AI tools.
Good point. Don't train the world on your secrets.
Right. And third, protect originality. Use AI for efficiency, sure, but don't let it replace strategic thinking or your unique brand voice.
Speaking of the human side, burnout came up too. And it's being framed not just as personal, but as a real business risk.
And it absolutely is. The Marketing Week survey numbers were, well, concerning. 58% of UK marketers felt overwhelmed. 56% felt undervalued last year. That's a lot of people struggling.
Yeah, and you can't expect top-tier creative work from people who are completely drained. It has to impact the brand eventually.
Exactly. Burnout limits performance, period. It's a brand risk because it hits the quality of the output. It needs a cultural fix, not just individual coping strategies.
So how do companies start to fix the culture?
Well, Lauren Spearman, a brand consultant mentioned in the sources, had some practical ideas. She reframes self-care as a growth strategy, not an indulgence.
Okay, I like that framing. What does it look like in practice?
Things like shorter, more focused meetings to protect deep work time. And she suggested this brilliant idea, a rainy day folder.
A rainy day folder.
Yeah, a place to actively collect positive feedback, campaign wins, kudos, something tangible to look back on when things feel tough. It reminds you of your impact.
That's actually a great, simple idea. We all need that sometimes.
Totally. And the other big piece is flexible leadership. Managers need to lead with empathy, respect work-life boundaries, which vary globally, right? And adapt. Sustainable marketing needs people who aren't running on fumes.
So, action points for listeners.
Redesign parts of the workday, look hard at meeting culture. Second, make celebrating wins systematic. Maybe implement that rainy day folder idea. And third, if you're a manager, model that flexibility and empathy. Show you value well-being. It's good for people and performance.
Okay, shifting from the team inside to the brand outside. How do brands become truly iconic globally? I feel like more than just being big.
It really is. It's about the emotional connection, the meaning they create. Like, their absence would actually be missed, and values are key here.
Values. How so?
Well, the Edelman data showed 84% of consumers globally need to share values with a brand to buy from it. 84%.
Wow. It means purpose isn't just fluff, it's table stakes.
Absolutely. Authenticity matters. Sarah Reese Carstensen, who worked with Lego, asks this amazing question. What would the world miss if our brand disappeared tomorrow?
That really makes you think, doesn't it? What's our real contribution?
Exactly. And she points to Lego. They were near bankruptcy because they strayed too far from their core. They came back by refocusing on the brick, on creativity, reigniting that emotional spark.
So it was about getting back to their roots.
Pretty much. Her advice was basically trim complexity, blend data with storytelling, and act like a small, curious, connected business, even when you're global. Stay scrappy.
Interesting. Stay small to grow big.
Sort of, yeah. So the tips are, reinforce your core purpose relentlessly. Lead with storytelling to build emotion. Stay close to customer values. And partner strategically with others who align with your values.
Okay, last big theme. Actually reaching these customers. Cross-channel CRM. What's the key insight there?
It's about moving away from just batch and blast everywhere. It's designing journeys that make sense based on where the customer is, not just what the brand wants to push.
Meeting them where they are.
Exactly. And it works. McKinsey found customers interacting across multiple channels shop 70% more often and spend more. So a coordinated approach drives real value.
Okay, so how do you coordinate without just adding more noise?
Find My Past had a good example. They shifted from a one-size-fits-all approach to mapping journeys based on user behavior and lifecycle stage.
So triggered by what the customer does.
Right. And each channel got a specific job. Email for deeper content, SMS for alerts, push for in-app stuff, with rules to avoid bombarding people.
Makes sense. Defining the role of each channel.
And they did this really bold test. A control group of 10% got no onboarding messages at all.
Whoa, what happened?
It proved the value of their structured approach. The groups getting the relevant sequenced messages engaged and stuck around way more than the group getting nothing. Clear ROI.
That's solid proof. So, final tips for getting CRM right globally.
First, test with control groups. Prove your strategy actually works. Second, map the customer's journey. Design messages for their needs. Third, give each channel a clear purpose.
Or avoid channel chaos.
Exactly. And finally, don't forget mobile, especially globally. Channels like WhatsApp need the same smart segmentation and intent-based thinking.
It really feels like the common thread through all of this is intentionality.
Iterable's mobile marketing guide was mentioned as a good resource there. It's linked in the article for this deep dive.
So the question becomes, are your CRM strategies really reflecting where your customers are?
You know, what strikes me listening back to all this, it's how interconnected everything is.
The future of global marketing lies in embracing purposeful personalization, leveraging AI with intention, and choosing the right channels to build trust and drive lasting impact no matter the market. If you want to go deeper on the strategies we covered today, explore the full on-demand recordings from Activate Tour London, where these insights came to life on stage. You can find the link in this week's article or at activate.iterable.com. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Let's Chat Global Marketing. Catch you next week, same time, same chat.